Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you physically present here at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse on live feed, locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups from around the world. I want to start this evening's discourse with a reading from the Isa Upanishad, the first verse, and I'm going to read as follows. Isa Upanishad, ISA Upanishad, and verse 1 states, Om, the yon is fullness, semicolon, fullness, comma, this, full stop. From fullness, comma, fullness dot proceed, full stop. Withdrawing fullness of, even fullness then itself remains. This is absolute science, and it means that from an absolute whole, another absolute whole can manifest without the changing the quality of the absolute whole initially. And this is called infinity. From an absolute whole, many absolute wholes can emanate or manifest without changing the quantum of the original absolute. Basically, it is stating from the supreme energy, the supreme Lord, everything else manifests. And when everything else manifests, it does not alter the quantum of the supreme whole, the supreme Lord. Do you understand? All of you understand? It's like a mother that gives birth. It's like a mother that gives birth. The mother is one absolute whole. Then she gets pregnant, and then she gives birth, and she retains her absolute whole. All of you understand? So she gave birth, it is a manifested entity, and the absolute whole, which is herself, remains within her quantum, within herself. All of you understand? This is the Isa Upanishad. It's the first Upanishad. And this is the first sentence in the first Upanishad. Upanishad means, in Sanskrit, Upanishad means, come sit closer. In Sanskrit, Upanishad means, come sit closer, which ultimately means attain a guru. and attain this knowledge. Attain a guru and attain this knowledge. Then verse 2 states, by the Lord enveloped must this all be. Whatever moving thing there in this moving world, with this renounced you may enjoy. Covet not the wealth of anyone at all. And this means that after the manifestation from within the Supreme Lord, it's His energy that has manifested as this material universe, and it is His energy that has manifested as your body. And the Supreme Lord, in lieu of the fact that the energy belongs to Him, He envelops both the material universe and all that is contained within. And then a warning is given. A warning is given. Only use what is allotted to you. Do not covet the wealth of others. Do not covet the wealth of others. At this point, I would like everyone to rise. I want to observe here at the Sri Narayan Dham 30 seconds of silence. 20 sons of Mother Bharat lost their lives 2 nights ago when they were trying to protect what was allotted to them. In the protection of what was allotted to the 20 sons of Mahabharat, they lost their lives. So 30 seconds of silence starting now. Thank you. You may be seated. Sanatan Dharma is absolute science. And it took its birth in this cycle, as it does in all cycles, in Bharat. Bharat is India, which has been divided many, many, many times, and now a very, very small portion exists. And even now, there are those that do not want to stick within their allotment, is encroaching the borders of India, namely Pakistan, Nepal, and China. Pakistan, Nepal, and China. Bharat gave birth to all the scientists, to all the absolute scientists, personified as sages who compiled these Upanishads, who these Upanishads were revealed to, and who gave to this world light in terms of knowledge. If you have to extract Bharat, then this planet Earth will exist as hell. If you have to extract Bharat, then this planet Earth will exist as hell. And if you want to challenge me, then do a research. In Bharat, whether you're a Russian, or a Jew, or a Greek, or a Persian, or a Muslim, or a Chinese, or a Taiwanese, whoever settles in Bharat is given freedom of their religion. Every nationality lives in Bharat. Whether you French, whether you German, whether you Nazi, everyone lives in Bharat and practice their own. Everyone lives in Bharat and practice their own. And when the Muslims wanted a piece of Bharat for their own practice, then Pakistan was given to them. When Pakistan was given to the Muslims, Bharat did not ask those Muslims who did not want to go to Pakistan to leave Bharat. Those Muslims that wanted to stay back in Bharat has remained in Bharat. All of you understand? This is Sanatan Dharma. Mother Bharat embraces all her children from every continent, recognized with their own identity. There is no conversion in Bharat. There is no conversion to become a citizen of Bharat. If you come as a Muslim, they give you mosques. If you come as a Jew, they give you synagogues. Whatever religion or whatever religious system you belong in, when you enter Bharat, you are given equal rights to practice your religion. Because Bharat is the spiritual soul of planet Earth. And for Bharat to be the spiritual soul of planet Earth, it has to live within the parameters of Sanatan Dharma. It has to show by example that Sanatan Dharma is not a religious body, it is a spiritual body. It is a spiritual body. However, the nationality of Bharat is Hindus. All of you understand? All of you understand? Go to one of these other countries and see where religion dominates. If you can open your temple in there or your ashram and do what you want to do. You understand? Now, these three nationalities, all Nepal had its origin in Bharat, Pakistan has its origin in Bharat, they have now colluded with the dragon. They have now colluded with the dragon, and they want to try and destroy the sovereignty of Bharat. Bharat is suffering from over 1,000 years. KK, you understand when I say Bharat, which country I'm meaning?
I think you're referring to India.
Intelligent boy. I want to welcome you to my satsang. And for those of you who do not know, KK has been walking up and down the M19 for many months, wishing one day he could land here. And through God incident, he landed. He's a student at Durban Westwood. He's studying BSc, and he has his last 2 modules left. And for the past couple of days, whilst he was with me, I gave him a terrible hiding. I gave him a terrible hiding with his own subject: physical science, biology, chemistry. Anything else you want to add, KK? Any other subjects of yours I used to whack you? Okay, he said I named them all, right? But he decided with all that whacking that he's going to come and sit and listen to what is being said. And we welcome you and we embrace you, KK, and your friend. We embrace you. We ask you to listen with an open mind. KK was conveniently following another guru. I don't want to mention his name, but he has a white beard like me, that is selling materialism in this world. And I had to explain to him that there is a huge difference between materialism and spirituality. And today he's here to start learning the difference. So I whacked him to see what he is made of. And I think he's strong enough to come here. Remember, he's from another culture and another understanding. But his greatest frustration was that as I was explaining my concept, or our concept, the Sanatan Dharma concept to him, he began realizing that all he has learned is in contradiction to this teaching. And he was brave enough to admit it. But I want to say to you, KK, and I have stated this to the scientific world on numerous occasions, spiritual science is not against material science. If material science embraces spiritual science, then we can walk along together. Only when material science is in opposition to spiritual science, then we simply steamroll over it. Okay? So coming back, Bharat was initially invaded by the Muslim Mughals for over 700 years. And immediately thereafter, it was again invaded by the British. And notwithstanding the fact that it got its independence in the 1940s, it has remained. Those that were in power were not practitioners of Sanatan Dharma. They were not practitioners of Sanatan Dharma. And I'm happy to announce that we see in Sri Narendra Modi one of the very first practitioners of Sanatan Dharma, who is the Prime Minister of Bharat. Since he became Prime Minister, corruption in India has scaled down in all government departments. And the Sri Narayan Dham supports Narendra Modi and India, Bharat as a whole, in whatever action they seem fit to take against the oppressors. Sri Narayan Dham supports and will support all dharmic reaction to this territorial abuse, where 20 sons of Bharat lost their lives. And you may be shocked seated here today that a spiritual master is involved in the catastrophe or world catastrophes. You think a spiritual master has a right to be involved? Who said yes? Dana? Why you think a spiritual master has a right to be involved?
Because what they're doing is wrong. And they should be involved with things like.
Because the Supreme Lord created a system called the Varna system. And if the Varna system is adopted, there will never be chaos in ruling a country, in ruling a continent, or in the world being ruled. The Vedas has created a societal order that can work harmoniously within its order itself as a society, as a country, and as a world. However, that societal order has been discarded and replaced with thugs becoming presidents and prime ministers. Who? Thugs. Presidents and prime ministers were supposed to be counseled by spiritual leaders. And every decision a country takes supposed to be taken in cognizance with righteousness. That is now missing, because these thugs have become a rule upon themselves. These thugs have become a rule upon themselves. And this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was reduced to writing 5,000 years ago. Last year, June, a 14-year astrologist in a series of YouTube videos already predicted this current situation from China and India. This war is already predicted in astrology, and astrology is an absolute science and a branch of science of Sanatan Dharma. You can go to YouTube, you can see from June last year, the predictions and the current situation is already in the absolute scientific department of predictions, which is called astrology. Which is called astrology. So coming back home, live within your allotment. Live within your allotment. Do not try to encroach onto others' properties. This is a warning, and there will be consequences. There will be consequences. And again, I want to go back. One might ask, if Sanatan Dharma and if Bharat is the soul, spiritual soul of the planet Earth, then how did God allow 1,000 years of invasions? This question would cross one's mind. And I'm saying Sanatan Dharma is absolute science relative to the dimension of God. When God breathes out, innumerable universes are released into the material dimension. When God breathes out. And when God breathes in, all these universes are assimilated within the embodiment of God again. So how long does it take you to breathe in and out, KK? Let's say a second. 1 second to breathe out and in. To exhale and inhale. That 1 second in Lord Brahma's dimension is 100 years. That 1 second in Lord Brahma's dimension is 100 years. And Lord Brahma's 100 years in this earth, in solar years, is 311 trillion 40 billion years. How long? 311 trillion 40 billion years. So when the Lord exhales and inhales, for him it is how long, KK? KK? 1 second. But in the dimension in which we are vibrating, it is 311 trillion 40 billion years. So that 1,000 years by which Bharat has been invaded is point something of a second. All of you understand? Does that answer your question? And it should make you very, very worried, okay? Which means you've been existing now in this cycle, as I've explained earlier. Lord Brahma is 50 years old now. He's going on to his 51st birthday. So 311 trillion 40 billion years divided by 2 will give you 155 trillion years. And this is the point where we are. So how old are you, KK, in this creation? 155 trillion years. And you worried for your minuscule 25 years. For your insignificant 25 years you are worried about, when you have already passed 155 trillion years. This is Sanatan Dharma. This is absolute science. This science, which is Sanatan Dharma, will keep you blissful if you want to remain here on earth for the next 155 trillion years. You understand, KK? Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions? So Sanatan Dharma states there are 3 requests if you want to learn and be an aspirant in Sanatan Dharma. There are 3 conditions or 3 requests. One is SEVA, the second one is Simran, and the third one is Satsang. SEVA, Simran, Satsang. Every human has different needs, don't you? All of you have different needs. And you need an X amount of utilities to satisfy your personal need, don't you? Rishi, what utilities you thinking of? Rishi Bhai, what utilities you thinking of? As soon as I said every human,
leave that to your imagination.
I don't imagine, I know. You say, I?
No.
No. You say, I leave it to your knowledge. Okay? Similarly, every human extraction of his karma is different. As you need different utilities to satisfy your basic needs, in the same manner, the removal of your karma is different. And for a culmination of all of that, a culmination to satisfy the extraction of a particular individual's karma, you need to perform diligently SEVA, Simran, and Satsang. SEVA means performing a service without rewards, without intention of any rewards. Performing a service, and when we say satsang, then it will mean for your institution, performing a service for your institution without the intention of reaping any rewards. That is called SEVA. You can do SEVA physically, and you can do SEVA financially, and you can do SEVA in a myriad of different ways. Whatever action you perform for the upliftment of Sanatan Dharma is called SEVA. Is called SEVA. What does Simran mean? Divashni, what does Simran mean? Your class boy's name? What Divashni? Simran means contemplation through meditation. What does meditation mean? Constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. Okay? Meditation means constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord. And not those gurus that you're following that tell you to close your eyes, close your two biological eyes, and a third spiritual eye will open. That's not meditation. Meditation means constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord, which means you can meditate all the time that you are awake. When you're working, think of the Lord and work. When you are eating, think of the Lord and eat. Whatever you are performing, think of the Lord and perform. And what does satsang mean? Sat means truth, and sangha means pious company. Satsang means listening to the truth within a pious company. Which truth? The absolute truth. And where you find the absolute truth? In Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal. And Dharma means way of life. Can you see how simple everything is, KK? If you break it down? Very, very simple. So if you have a son, and your son keeps asking you, Dad, I want 50 Rand, I want 100 Rand, I want 1,000 Rand. And if you have a son that does not ask you for anything, he washes your car, he cleans your room, he shines your shoes, as soon as you cough, he gives you your water. He's always performing duties to you with love. And you have 10 million Rand. Which son would you leave your 10 million Rand to, KK?
The one that does things with love.
And that is called SEVA. And if you want to be rich and prosperous, then what you must do? What you must do? SEVA. Don't trouble the Father. I want a Mercedes. I want a BM. I want a house in Belito. Alright? Just serve your Father. And you serve your Father through serving others that are less fortunate than you. You serve your Father by donating to institutions where people can learn about your Father and His instructions to mankind. Okay? All of you understand? And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is diligently doing his SEVA to his country as Prime Minister. He is faced in a very difficult position, and it is unfortunate that the opposition parties in India is not supporting him, Jessica, just because they are opposition and they're not looking at the 20 sons of Bharat who lost their lives by protecting the very same oppositions who have sold their souls to the aggressors. Jai Shriman.